Hare Krishna, everybody. Good evening. So, today we're reading chapter 14, Prayers Offered by Lord Brahma to Lord Krishna. And this chapter kind of means a lot to me because this is the Prabhupada, he translated the Srimad Bhagavatam up to this point. I think the 14th chapter was the last. So the Krishna book is based on the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto. So the Srimad Bhagavatam consists of 12 cantos, and well, it's 18,000 Sanskrit verses, and it's a huge text. And Prabhupada set out to translate the entire thing, but always was uncertain about whether he would complete it or not. And therefore, also, that's one of the reasons of why he made the Krishna book early on. He wanted everybody to get to meet Krishna, whether he would be able to reach the 10th canto, complete the 10th canto prior to his departing from this world, or leaving his body, as we say. And uh, well, he translated the first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, the eighth, the ninth, and started the 10th and went up to chapter 14. Um, so yeah, in the Srimad Bhagavatam you can read Prabhupada's translation up to the 10th canto, chapter 14, after which his disciples will take over in explaining the purports and the meaning. They obviously take from the Krishna book for one, and from other sources like the Chaitanya Charitamrita, where verses are interquoted. Now, alright, so that's the 14th chapter. Yesterday we heard in chapter 13, titled Brahma Vimohan Lila, or the stealing of the boys and calves by Brahma, how Krishna um, he he amazed Brahma. Brahma had seen how Krishna, this little boy, had taken care of this humongous snake demon Agasura, and Brahma realized, oh, this is interesting. How can this little boy, perform such an, he theoretically he knew this is the Supreme Personality of God, but in practice he was, he felt like, how can this little child walking around with a morsel of food in his left hand, um, a morsel of rice, yogurt, sweet, milk sweet, and he's looking around for the cows. Remember how after the Agasura pastime they went to the near the Yamuna River, to another place where the pasture was just right for the cows, and Krishna suggested, let's have our lunch. I know you are all hungry. And he sat like inside the middle of the world of the lotus, the middle of, he sat as the whirl of a lotus, and all his boy friends, all the boys that had come with him, they were like the lotus petals as they were all facing Krishna. It said how Krishna faced, they felt that each and every one of them was facing Krishna, and that Krishna was facing them as well. So he had that ability, and they were, absolutely enjoying the their meals, and they were joking and playing around. They had taken bark of tree and this and that to put their lunch packs on, and then started their sharing their lunch packs. And Krishna said, look, the calves had actually, kind of drawn by the fresh grass, had disappeared from sight, into, it seemed that they went into a forest. And so everybody noticed that, and Krishna said, don't worry, you keep eating lunch, I'm going to go find the cows. And now Krishna, with his food in his hand, he went searching out for the calves. And he went to caves, bushes, forests, and he with to no avail. His search was to no avail, and when he came back to the site where his friends were, they were gone too. And this was the doing of Brahma. So that's kind of what happened. Brahma stole them, kept them somewhere else, and well, it was a moment in Brahma's time. We hear how 4,300,000,000 years on Earth is 12 hours for Brahma, and so a year had gone by on Earth, and all the coward boys and calves had gone back home. Now, naturally, because Krishna was those coward boys and calves, he had expanded himself into all his friends and calves, uh, and then gone home. But as a result, because they were all Krishna, they didn't go on to tell what happened earlier that day, which was the killing of the Agasura demons. So the question was put out by Parikshit, who's kind of the hearer of this Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sukadev is the speaker. He asks the speaker, why is it that the boys didn't tell their families? A year later only did they tell their families, and that's because that same afternoon they had been taken by Brahma, and Krishna had expanded himself. Now, in Brahma's time, it was a moment like, he took the boys, and then he saw Krishna and all the calves there, and he was confused, and then he realized, my magic is nothing compared to, I've been trumped. Brahma holds the biggest position in this creation, and it was hard for him to believe that a little coward boy with food in his hand, looking for calves, was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that he had actually achieved those feats, and he kind of wanted to test him, so to speak, or, he wanted to test whether this was, and he got his match. He met his match, if not better. And so now he realizes his mistake, and that's how the chapter ends, chapter 13. And now we're starting the 14th chapter. The ending is that he speaks certain words of praise and prayer to Krishna, feeling very out of place, because after all, Vishnu, Krishna, is Brahma's creator, is the source of Brahma. Brahma actually comes through the stem of the lotus, and the lotus that is coming from the navel of the Lord Vishnu. So he feels very foolish to have doubted and tested, and he's prostrate himself again and again at the feet of Lord Krishna. All four of his golden helmets touch the feet of Lord Krishna, and being joyful, he washes, being joyful also upon seeing Krishna and realizing he's washing Lord Krishna's feet with his tears. And so he repeatedly fell and rose as he recalled the wonderful activities of Krishna. After repeating obeisances for a long time, Brahma stood up, smeared his hands over his eyes. Seeing the Lord before him, he trembled, began to offer prayers, which is what I'm going to read out now. So Brahma said, "My dear Lord, you are the only worshipful Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead. Therefore, I'm offering my humble obeisances and prayers just to please you. Your bodily features are of the color of clouds filled with water. You are glittering with a silver electric aura emanating from your yellow garments. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the son of Nanda Maharaj, who is standing before me with conch shell earrings and peacock feather on his head. yeah, in the last chapter we heard how, in order for Brahma's confusion to be dispelled as to what happened, he had stolen the calves and cows. At the same time, he was seeing Krishna with calves and cows. To dispel his confusion, Krishna, showed that all these showed that all the cows and calves turned into four-armed Vishnu forms, and so in this way he's saying, standing before me with conch shell earrings and peacock feather on his head, his beautiful, his face is beautiful, and we were hearing how those Vishnu forms were original Vishnu forms, not like expansions. They were all original Vishnu forms because all those boys and calves were originally Krishna. And so his face was beautiful. He was wearing a helmet garlanded by forest flowers, and he stands with a morsel of food in his hand. He's decorated with cane and bugle, and he carries a buffalo horn and flute. He stands before me with small lotus feet. So this is how Brahma had perceived him, is perceiving him right now as he's offering his prayers. My dear Lord, people say that I'm the master of all Vedic knowledge. I'm supposed to be the creator of this universe, but it has been proven now that I cannot understand your personality, even though you're present before me just like a child. You're playing with your boyfriend's calves and cows, which might imply that you do not even have sufficient education. You're appearing just like a village boy, carrying your food in your hand and searching for your calves, and yet there is so much difference between your body and mine, and I cannot estimate the potency of your body. As I've already stated in the Brahma Samhita, your body is not material. And then Prabhupada explains, in the Brahma Samhita it is stated that the body of the Lord is all spiritual. There is no difference between the Lord's body and his self. Samhita means, Brahma's song. So this is Brahma's poetry or song towards Krishna, and from there he states such things as the Lord can see with his hands, he can hear with his eyes, he accepts offering with his legs, and he can so his senses and limbs, and they work interchangeably. And Brahma states states the inconceivability of the Lord in his Brahma Samhita, which he created prior, but now is reminded. Then Brahma continues, your appearance is for the benefit of the devotees, and although I have committed offenses at your lotus feet by stealing away your cows, boys and calves, I can understand that you have mercy upon me. That is your transcendental quality, affectionate towards your devotees. In spite of your affection for me, I cannot estimate the potency of your bodily activities. It is to be understood that when I, Lord Brahma, appreciate the spiritual potency of your childlike body, then what can I understand about your transcendental pastimes? Therefore, as it is said in the Bhagavad Gita, anyone who can understand a little of the transcendental pastimes, appearance and disappearance of the Lord becomes immediately eligible to enter into the kingdom of God after quitting the material body. This statement is also confirmed in the Vedas, and it is stated simply, semicolon, by understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can overcome the chain of repeated birth and death. So that's very simple. I therefore recommend that people should not try to understand you by their speculative knowledge. So, there's a way to do with understanding. And Brahma recommends not using our own imagination or speculative knowledge coming from our perspective. Quote, the best process of understanding you is to submissively give up the speculative process and try to hear about you, either from yourself, as you have given statements in the Bhagavad Vedic literatures, or from a realized devotee who has taken shelter of your lotus feet. One has to hear from a devotee without speculation. One does not even need to change his worldly position. He simply has to hear your message. Although you are not understandable by the material senses, simply by hearing about you, one can gradually conquer the nescience of misunderstanding. By your own grace only, you become revealed to a devotee. You are unconquerable by any other means. Speculative knowledge without any trace of devotional service is simply a useless waste of time in the search for you. Devotional service is so important that even a little attempt can raise one to the highest form. One should not therefore neglect this auspicious process of devotional service and take to the speculative method. By the speculative method, one may gain partial knowledge of your cosmic manifestation, but it is not possible to understand you, the origin of everything. The attempt of persons who are interested only in the speculative knowledge is simply wasted labor, like a labor of a person who attempts to gain something by beating the empty husk of a rice paddy. A little quantity of paddy by the grinding wheel, and one can gain grains of rice. But if the skin of the paddy is already beaten by the grinding wheel, there is no further gain in beating the husk. It is simply useless labor. My dear Lord, Brahma continues, there are many instances in the history of human society, where a person, after failing to achieve the transcendental platform, engages himself in devotional service with his body, words, and thus attained the highest perfectional state of entering into your abode. The processes of understanding you by speculative or mystic meditation are useless without devotional service. One should therefore engage himself in your devotional service, even in this worldly activities, even in his worldly activities. And one should always keep himself near you by the process of hearing and chanting your transcendental glories. Simply by being attached to hearing and chanting your glories, one can attain the highest perfectional stage and enter into your kingdom. If a person therefore always keeps in touch with you by hearing and chanting your glories and offers the results of his work in this direction only, he very easily and happily attains entrance into your abode. You are realized by persons who have cleansed their hearts of all contaminations. This cleansing of the heart is made possible by chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord. The Lord is all pervading, as it is stated by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Quote, everything is sustained by me, but at the same time I'm not in everything. Unquote. Since the Lord is all pervading, there is nothing existing without his knowledge. The all pervasive nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead can never be within the limited knowledge of a living entity. Therefore, a person who has attained steadiness of mind by fixing the mind on the lotus feet of the Lord is able to understand the Supreme Lord to some extent. It is the business of the mind to wonder. Just checking on you if you're wondering. Over varied subject matter for sense gratification. Therefore, only a person who engages the senses always in the service of the Lord can control the mind and be fixed at the lotus feet of the Lord. This concentration of the mind upon the lotus feet of the Lord is called samadhi. Until one reaches the stage of samadhi or trance, he cannot understand the nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There may be some philosophers or scientists who can study the cosmic nature from atom to atom. They may be so advanced that they can count the atomic composition of the cosmic atmosphere or all the planets and stars in the sky, or even the shining molecular parts of the sun or other stars and luminaries in the sky, but it's not possible to count the qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As described in the beginning of the Vedanta Sutra, the Supreme Person is the origin of all qualities. He is generally called Nirguna. Nirguna means without qualities. Guna means quality, and Nir means without. But impersonalists interpret this word Nirguna as having no quality, because they are unable to estimate the qualities of the Lord in transcendental realization. They conclude that the Supreme Lord has no qualities. But that is actually not the position. The real position is that he is the original source of all qualities. All qualities are emanating constantly from him. How, therefore, can a limited person count the qualities of the Lord? One may estimate the qualities of the Lord for one moment, but the next moment the qualities are increased. So it's not possible to make an estimation of the transcendental qualities of the Lord. He's therefore called Nirguna. His qualities cannot be estimated. One should not uselessly labor in mental speculation to estimate the Lord's qualities. There is no need of adopting the speculative method or exercising the body to attain mystic yoga perfection. One should simply understand that the distress and happiness of this body are predestined. There is no need to try to avoid the distress of this bodily existence or to attempt to achieve happiness by different types of exercises. The best course is to surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead with body, mind, and words, and always be engaged in His service. This transcendental labor is fruitful, but other attempts to understand the absolute truth are never successful. Therefore, an intelligent man does not try to understand the Supreme Person, absolute truth, by speculative or mystic power. Rather, he engages in devotional service and depends on the Supreme Lord. He knows that Whatever may happen to the body is due to his past fruitive activities. If one lives such a simple life in devotional service, then automatically he can inherit the transcendental abode of the Lord. Actually, every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord and a son of the Godhead. Each has the natural right to inherit and share the transcendental pleasure of the Lord, but due to the contact of matter, conditioned living entities have been practically disinherited. If one adopts the simple method of engaging himself in devotional service, automatically he becomes eligible to become freed from the material contamination and elevated to the transcendental position of associating with the Supreme Lord. Lord Brahma presented himself to Lord Krishna as the most presumptuous living creature because he wanted to examine the wonder of his personal power. He stole the boys and calves of the Lord in order to see how the Lord would recover them. After his maneuver, Lord Brahma admitted that his attempt was most presumptuous, for he was attempting to test his energy before the person of original energy. Coming to his senses, Lord Brahma saw that although he was a very powerful living creature in the estimation of all other living creatures within this material world, in comparison to the power and energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his power was nothing. The scientists of the material world have discovered wonders such as atomic weapons, and when tested in a city or insignificant place on this earth, such powerful weapons create so-called havoc. But if the atomic weapons are tested on the sun, what is their significance? They're insignificant there. Similarly, Brahma stealing the calves and boys from Lord Sri Krishna may be a wonderful display of mystic power, but when Sri Krishna exhibited in so many his expansive power in so many calves and boys and maintained them without effort, Brahma could understand that his own power was insignificant. Brahma addressed Lord Krishna as Achyuta because the Lord is never forgetful of a little service rendered by his devotee. He is so kind and affectionate towards his devotees that a little service by them is accepted by him as a great deal. Brahma has certainly rendered much service to the Lord. As the Supreme Personality in charge of this particular universe, he is without a doubt a faithful servant of Krishna. Therefore, he could appease Krishna. He asked that the Lord understand him as a subordinate servant whose little mistake and impudence might be excused. He admitted that he was puffed up by his own powerful position as Lord Brahma. Because he is the qualitative incarnation of the mode of passion within the material world, this was natural for him, and therefore he committed the mistake. But after all, Lord Krishna would kindly take compassion upon his subordinate and excuse him for his gross mistake. Lord Brahma realized his actual position. He is certainly the supreme teacher of this universe, in charge of the production of material nature consisting of complete material elements: false ego, sky, air, fire, water, and earth. Such a universe may be gigantic, but it can be measured. Just as we measure our body as 7 cubits, generally everyone's personal bodily measurement is calculated to be 7 cubits of his hand. This particular universe may appear as a very gigantic body, but it is nothing but the measurement of 7 cubits for Lord Brahma. Aside from this universe, there are unlimited other universes which are outside the jurisdiction of this particular Brahma. Just as innumerable atomic infinitesimal fragments pass through the holes of a screened window, so millions and trillions of universes in their seedling form are coming out from the bodily pores of Mahavishnu, and that Mahavishnu is but a part of the plenary expansion of Krishna. Under these circumstances, although Lord Brahma is the supreme creature within this universe, what is his importance in the presence of Lord Krishna? Lord Brahma therefore compared himself to a little child within the womb of his mother. If the child within the womb plays with his hands and legs, and while playing touches the body of the mother, is the mother offended with the child? Of course she isn't. Similarly, Lord Brahma may be a very great personality, and yet not only Brahma, but everything that be in exists be and yet not only Brahma, but everything that be is existing within the womb of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord's energy is all pervading. There is no place in the creation where it is not acting. Everything is existing within the material energy of the Lord. So the Brahma of this universe, or the Brahmas of the many other millions and trillions of universes, are existing within the energy of the Lord. Therefore, the Lord is considered to be the mother, and everything existing within the womb of the Lord is considered to be the child. And the good mother is never offended with the child, even if he touches the body of the mother by kicking his legs. Lord Brahma then admitted that his birth was from the lotus flower which blossomed from the navel of Narayan after the dissolution of the three worlds, or the three planetary systems known as Bhurloka, Bhuvarloka, and Swargloka. The universe is divided into three divisions, namely Svarloka, Martyaloka, and Patalaloka. These three planetary systems are merged into water at the time of dissolution. At that time, Narayan, the planetary portion of Krishna, lies down on the water, and gradually a lotus stem grows from his navel, and from that lotus flower Brahma is born. It is naturally concluded that the mother of Brahma is Narayan, because the Lord is the resting place of all living entities after the dissolution of the universe. He is called Narayan. The word Nara means aggregate total of all living entities, and Ayana means the resting place. The form of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is called Narayan because he rests himself on that water. In addition, he is the resting place of all living creatures. Besides that, Narayan is also present in everyone's heart, as it is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. In that sense, also he is Narayan, as Ayana means the source of knowledge as well as the resting place. It's also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that remembrance of the living entities is due to the presence of the super soul within the heart. After changing the body, a living creature forgets everything of his past life, but because Narayan, the super soul, is present within his heart, he is reminded by him to act according to his past desire. Lord Brahma wanted to prove that Krishna is the original Narayan, that he is the source of all Narayan, and that he's the source of Narayan, and that Narayan is not an exhibition of the external energy, Maya, but is an expansion of spiritual energy. The activities of the external energy, or Maya, are exhibited after the creation of this cosmic world, and the original spiritual energy of Narayan was acting before the creation. So the expansions of Narayan from Krishna to the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu to Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, from Kshirodakshaya Vishnu to everyone's heart, are manifestations of his spiritual energy. They are not conducted by the material energy, therefore they are not temporary. Anything conducted by the material energy is temporary, but everything executed by the spiritual energy is eternal. Lord Brahma reconfirmed his statements establishing Krishna as the original Narayan. He said that the gigantic universal body is still resting on the water known as Garbhodaka. He spoke as follows: "This gigantic body of the universe is another manifestation of your energy. On account of his resting on the water, this universal form is also Narayan, and we are all within the womb of this Narayan form. I see your different Narayan forms everywhere. I can see you on the water, I can feel you within my heart, and I can also see you before me now. You are the original Narayan." Quote, "My dear Lord, in this incarnation you have proved that you are the supreme controller of Maya. You remain within the cosmic manifestation, and yet the whole creation is within you. This fact has already been proved by you when you exhibited the whole universal creation within your mouth before your mother Yashoda. By your inconceivable potency of Yoga Maya, you can make such things effective without external help. My dear Lord Krishna, the whole cosmic manifestation that we are visualizing at present is all within your body. Yet I'm seeing you outside, and you are also seeing me outside. How can such things happen without being influenced by your inconceivable energy?" Lord Brahma stressed herein that without accepting the inconceivable energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot explain things as they are. He continued, "My dear Lord, leaving aside all other things and just considering today's happenings, what have I seen? Are they not all due to your inconceivable energies? First of all, I saw you alone. Therefore you expanded yourself as your friends, the calves, and all the existence of Vrindavan. Then I saw you and all the boys as 400 Vishnus, and they were being worshipped by all elements and all demigods, including myself. Again they all became coward boys, and you remained alone as you were before. This does not mean Does this not mean that you are the Supreme Lord Narayan, the origin of everything, and from you everything emanates, and again everything enters unto, and you remain the same as before? Persons who are unaware of your inconceivable energy cannot understand that you alone expand yourself as the creator of Brahma, maintainer Vishnu, and annihilator Shiva. Persons who are not in awareness of things as they are contemplate that I, Brahma, am the creator, Vishnu is the maintainer, and Lord Shiva is the annihilator. Actually, you are alone, everything, creator, maintainer, and annihilator. Similarly, you expand yourself in different incarnations among the demigods. You incarnate as Vaman, among the great sages you incarnate as Parashuram, and among the human beings you appear as yourself as Lord Krishna or Lord Ram. Among the animals, you appear as the boar incarnation. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. I think we've got a few, because it's gonna be probably another half an hour, close to that, tomorrow. So that's half of the chapter of the prayers of Lord Brahma. So tomorrow we'll continue reciting which incarnations Krishna's. Having finished the prayers of Lord Brahma, maybe if the next chapter is long too, we may start that one. Alright, it's been 30 minutes of Krishna book. Thank you very much for watching, and good night. Think of Krishna.